one is no good. Rebounded by Anthony. 2 seconds left. Anthony for the win. Cody rolls it. Cole Anthony gives the Magic a victory.
Close up Magic.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Close Up Magic. I'm your host, Stephen Cameron, and today we got a really fun episode planned for you. I told you guys we got some fun guests lined up these next couple of podcasts. We got our first one tonight, Adam Papageorgiou of the Penny and Pop podcast, and of course the Orlando Magic community, and used to be a reporter back in the day. He'll be coming on and joining us in just a few minutes. Before we bring him on stage, though, we're going to get through all the announcements, all the housekeeping stuff. And then we'll get Adam on stage and have a great time. First and foremost, I want to shout out all the Patreons who have been coming to our watch parties on Discord. It's been a lot of fun having you all there. CJ and Malik have been hosting those watch parties, and this is a Patreon only like perk. So if you want to come to our watch parties, if you want to have other benefits like we do monthly roundtable phone calls where we all just shoot the shit about basketball. We do giveaways specific for Patreons and content just for you all. We have a Patreon program. The link is in the description, and there's 3 different tiers starting at $3 and going up to $10. So you can find the tier that works for you. It's a little financial way of saying thank you to the show, and it helps us do cool things like giveaways and pay for the streaming services that I use and stuff like that. Anyways, so that is the first thing. The second thing is shout out to 19 Media. They're the network that we are a part of. So we always want to say thanks to them because they do a great job of supporting us and keeping us moving in a lot of different back end things. The last thing is our two sponsors of the show. The first one is the NBA store. We have an affiliation with them. You can just click the link in the bio. It's an affiliate link. It's not giving you any extra discounts or anything. It's whatever you're paying on NBA. If there's a sale or not, all it does is give me a little bit of a kickback, which is really nice. So shout out to the NBA for doing that affiliation with me. And if you plan on buying a new Magic hat, a new Magic t-shirt or jersey or something like that, I'd be psyched if you did it through the link. It just helps me out a little bit. The other sponsor of the show that we have is Atlas VPN. Listen, guys, we all go through this every year. We have people that shout out Welt God who just spent like $80-something for YouTube TV just for League Pass. Or not League Pass, or just for Summer League. During the league week, we have regular season, we have local people that, can't subscribe to League Pass because of blackout dates, but then the subscriptions to, Bally Sports or whatever network the channel is going to be on is always a pain in the butt. If you want to bypass all that, just get VPN. It's really easy. Then you can pretend to be in other countries and other states and be like, oh, I want League Pass, and I got my VPN. It protects all my rights and my identity. It's really cool. So we're excited to partner with Atlas VPN. They're the leading solutions for ensuring your online privacy and security. Are you tired of feeling vulnerable to online threats, worried about your personal information falling into the wrong hands? Worry no more, people. Atlas VPN, they got you. So check out the affiliate link I got down in the description. They're the VPN of my choice. They're great. I love working with them, and they work for me. And now they are also a sponsor of the show. So check them out. There's another affiliate link. Again, you're not going to get a discount on your service, but if you sign up using the link down below, it's going to give me a little bit of a kickback. All right. We have no more sponsors to talk through. There's not going to be any more ad reads. There might be another ad built in there, but there's not going to be any more ad reads. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Papageorgiou. What's going on, man? How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Steven. Thanks for having me on, man. Let's talk some ball.
Dude, let's talk some ball. It's been a while since you've been on. I think you came on sometime last season. And now we have a lot of fun things to discuss. The Magic, we were recording this on July 7th, Tuesday. The Magic have played 2 Summer League games. The NBA has dropped the information about the NBA tournament, the NBA Cup, as I've been referring to it. And there's other fun Magic stuff we can talk about, and going to talk about like maybe the signing of Slow-Mo Joe or something like that. First off, Adam, let's hit on Summer League, man. So the Magic are 0-2 in Summer League. Anthony Black, Jett Howard, Caleb Houston are the main guys that have kind of been playing. Kevon Harris played in game 1. Before we get into like the specifics of the individual players, like what's your mindset and like thought process when Summer League is approaching and you are wanting to draw some conclusions, or maybe you don't draw any conclusions, but I know like we have some people that freak out and will say like after Anthony Black's first performance that he's going to be a Hall of Fame player. We have, I'm being dramatic there, but we have other people that will say these kids are bust and should never play in the NBA ever again, and all sorts of things in between. What is like your just approach and thought process going into Summer League?
Yeah, I feel like my mindset has evolved over the years. Before when I was blogging and covering the team, and we had an Orlando Summer League, and I would actually go and attend Orlando Summer Leagues. I made the mistake of thinking that Mario Hezonja was going to be pretty great coming out of that Orlando Summer League. You know, a lot of people did. He had some pretty great games. And the biggest thing that's changed my mind is Franz Wagner went from having like a horrible Summer League and even like a bad preseason to look at how he's been when the games actually matter. So I don't want to say I throw everything out the window. I basically want you to look like you belong as a rookie. Like if you're a rookie, you should look like you belong. You shouldn't look like Reece Gaines when he just couldn't get the ball across half court back in the day when they were having Summer League games at the old arena. Like you shouldn't look that bad. You should look like you belong. You want to see the effort. You want to see them being able to at least kind of persevere through any type of adjustments that are made in the game. If you're like a sophomore, I'd like to see you do pretty well. And for the most part, when you're looking at Summer League, most of the NBA sophomores that are actually playing have been doing a pretty great job at it.
Sure.
Like look at, last night's game, like Ben Mathurin had no right playing 32 minutes in that Pacers, game where they beat the Magic, but he's been phenomenal. And so, yeah, I mean, it's evolved. Before I used to put a lot into Summer League. Looking at this Magic Summer League team as a whole, a lot is left to be desired. Like there's not much. Like the Magic need to fill two-way spots still, and I don't think they're going to fill any of them with any of the guys that are playing for this team right now.
They did I just want to pause there real quick because it's like, I think like you, I try and take away themes of like players instead of like individual stats. Like I'm not 100% worried if Kevon Harris or not Kevon Harris, if Jett Howard's shot isn't dropping right now. Because I have to like look at this team they put around them, and it's like, well, there's not a center. There's like most of these guys, I'm not even, I'm trying to be polite here, but most of them won't even like most of them aren't going to make two-way players, let alone, some of them may or may not even make the G League. So it's
you're right. No, you're right. Yeah. You don't have to sugarcoat. You're right.
It's an
the
awful
roster
team.
Creation is interesting.
Awful team. But I also like wonder like, what is Orlando trying to do when building a roster, And that's the one thing I'm not sure. Like their goal is obviously not to put Anthony Black, Jett Howard, and Caleb Houston in the best position possible so they can play their games naturally, or they would have put like centers and rebounders and, other shooters on the floor. So it's weird, man. And then we have this whole like public agenda with Soto.
The Kai Soto stuff is fascinating because he's literally the only center we have on the roster, and it's like he must have looked so terrible in the practices that they just did not want to throw him out there against those big guys in the Pistons game with Wiseman and Duran. But I thought like when the Magic were down 25-20 earlier against the Pacers, I'm like, oh, they're going to throw him in at least like in the second half or something, and they haven't done that yet. If he doesn't play in this next game tomorrow, like I I don't know if he can jump ship and hop onto another summer league team just to get playing time, because at that point it's, I don't know what he's doing on this Magic roster, because by the third game, everyone should have at least played a little bit,
Yeah.
And we've seen in summer leagues past where guys will jump ship from one team to another, just trying to get minutes, just trying to get playing time. So we're going to see with Kai Soto. I mean, with Kai Soto, Filipino basketball fandom is huge, both just Filipinos in the States and then Filipinos, in the Philippines or globally. Like, if you look in the media, like a lot of the net media folks that are covering Summer League, like some of them are Filipinos that have never covered Summer League before, that are just there for Kai Soto. So like there was a hype to it, and Magic social media got involved in that. And I think because they got involved with that, they're kind of rightfully getting criticized for it, with, not that they would know what the coaches were going to plan to do with Soto anyway, but if you're going to hype the guy up, like, you got to play him a few minutes at least. So I don't know. What's your Soto viewpoint?
I don't know much about him as a player. I'm not going to act like I've watched an inch of tape on him, but I do like, I was surprised he didn't play in the second game because of the hype around him going into Summer League and just him as a player. I figured he'd at least get some playing time there. I was shocked that he didn't. But then I go back and I look at the box score and I look at the minutes distribution, and outside of like two guys that played less than 10 minutes, it's a pretty tight rotation. All the starters except for like one guy were almost to 30 minutes, most of them averaging 27. Then you have three guys off the bench that at 13 minutes, another one at 16 minutes, and there's a guy named Hill for 6 and a guy named Dennis for 9. And I haven't pulled up the box score from the last game on Saturday, but I bet it's like pretty similar players. I could go back and take a look at it, but just for the flow of conversation, I'm just going to give the excuse of they're not ready to fully experiment with the full roster of the Orlando Magic yet. And I bet, and that kind of goes back to like some of Mosley's stuff too, where sometimes he's like pretty rigid with his lineups and stuff. And I'm just like, well, what is their goal for Summer League in this second game? And I think the goal of Summer League in the second game might have been like, we're not worried about Soto yet. We're still wanting to see what we have with Houston, Howard, and Black, and maybe one or two other people. And they're working the rotation somewhat around them. It's my only guess that they're just like, I don't care about the evaluation of this player yet. We will get to him in game 3. That's my theory. But I do think it's weird. I have a weird theory that he's going to end up on a 2-way spot anyways, just so the Magic can sell more tickets at Amway and Osceola Magic just to bring in diversity within the crowd. I feel like they might, with that third 2-way, they might dangle him as a media spectacle. Not that that's right or whatever, I'm not sure, but that's my Soto's thoughts.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk too much about him because honestly, he's a big body, 7'3". If he's gonna fail, let him fail so that people just stop asking. Like in the second game, fans there were a couple of times where fans were chanting, "We want Soto" to get the check into the game, and I don't want to talk too much about him because he's probably not good. Although he is going to play, he is on the Filipino national team roster for the FIBA World Cup. So
that's cool. He's
going to get some playing time there one way or another. But I mean, it's a big deal because the Philippines, again, it's a massive global NBA market, and they're dying for a Filipino player to succeed in the NBA. But look, from a Magic roster build perspective for Summer League, it feels like they built it specifically around, obviously Black, Howard, but then Caleb and Kevon. Kevon leaving that first game with the cramps, I thought he hyperextended his knee. I was worried for him for a bit there, and maybe they were just precautionarily keeping him out of game 2. I don't know if he's out for the rest of Summer League or not, but I think Kevon being out for the game 2, and then the Pacers just bull rushing us, like through whatever game plan stuff out the window. it's funny. We threw in a guy named Tiger Campbell who's listed at 5'11", but his hair gives him like 4 inches of height, and I think he might be 5'7". Like that guy is tiny. He might be like the smallest guy the Magic have had on the floors in a Magic jersey since like Spud Webb or something. Like it's crazy. But yeah, I think the weakness of the roster is kind of more incentive and pressure to, well, not pressure, but just focus and motivation to have just Black, Howard, Caleb, and then Kevon if he plays again, to play different roles or different types of things. Because, I mean, if you look at Anthony Black, he could theoretically play, point guard, shooting guard, small forward. If you look at Jett Howard, he could theoretically play shooting guard, small forward, power forward.
Totally.
Caleb Houston, he handled the ball a lot when he was playing for Canada. Like he didn't get to do that in Michigan. He didn't really get to do that at the Magic. He tried to do it a little bit in Game 1 of Summer League, handled a little iffy there, but they want to experiment, and that's fine. They need to show a little bit more kind of focus and organization for this third game, and especially at least the rest of Summer League, because they're 0-2 right now, and we look like the worst Summer League team just because we have talent-wise a dearth of talent. And I think the Knicks are also winless, and they'll be winless, I think, going into this next game. We got pretty unlucky because like both Detroit and Indiana, they have like rotation guys on their team.
Do. Detroit was stacked with a lot of players too. I mean, you had James Wiseman, he was drafted 3 years ago, was playing Summer League. And it makes sense that he's playing Summer League. He's played interrupted 84 games in the NBA, and then
even with Indiana, like again, Mathurin, he shouldn't be in Summer League. He
was in conversations for Rookie of the Year, Like,
Jarris Walker's really good. Obviously he needs it. Even Andrew Nembhard, he's pretty solid. He probably doesn't really need Summer League, but I mean, he's another young guy. But those teams are pretty stacked in comparison to what we'll see maybe later on this week. But that's all the Magic Summer League thoughts I got at the moment. It's been pretty ugly to watch at times. Like Game 1, there was some good stuff. I don't know if you want to focus on our draft picks now a little bit with how.
Let's talk. Because I mean, I liked what I saw. Listeners, I don't think I said this yet, but I haven't watched Game 2. I was going to watch it this morning, but NBA League Pass wasn't showing the replay for me, so haven't been able to watch it. And I was doing father stuff with my daughter last night during the game, and so so I got most of the information I'm talking about is from, listening to other podcasts for Game 2 and seeing a couple highlights, and then what I saw from Game 1. And from Game 1, it seems like, Anthony Black is pretty much as advertised. A pretty good defender, smart defender, high IQ with passing the ball and playmaking. Little like. And granted, it's his first Summer League game, so it's hard to really say much, but he wasn't very aggressive with scoring until that fourth quarter. But he seemed like pretty solid. I'm I don't have any major red flags, and I think that's like my big thing here with trying to take away things from Summer League. And then Jett, my thought about him was, cool. He didn't have a lot of shots go down, but he's shooting. He looks good. He looks confident when he's taking the shots. I don't have a thought that those shots won't start falling when he's in better NBA spacing and organization and a better put together lineup. And Caleb Houston, I don't really have much to say. Shoot the ball. Hopefully it goes down. I'm just not sure. I think Caleb is the last person I have the least amount of thoughts on past, Jett and Black. What about you?
Yeah, look, with Caleb, again, right now he early, in Game 1, he was basically treated like a spot up shooter. He was 4 of 12 in the game, and he shot 4 of 10 from threes, which that's good. It's 40% from three, but he, anytime he was trying to do anything else, he couldn't, he either didn't get the opportunity or it didn't get far when he tried to do anything else. But
totally.
Game 2, because Kevon Harris was out, Caleb was actually crashing the boards in Game 2, and I was pretty happy to see that. And I think he led us with 18 points, and he was the only guy who had a pretty good game overall in that Game 2. Look, I'm on record. wasn't a fan of the draft picks. I didn't want to take Anthony Black at 6. I definitely didn't want to take Jett Howard at 11. With Anthony Black, it seems like he belongs. Like, he had that great fourth quarter in the first game. He had 17 points in a game. I think he had like 5 boards, 5 assists. He probably would have had more assists if guys could make shots. The 7 turnovers, not great, but it's something to build off of. Game 2 didn't do as much, but I mean, defensively, like, he's there. He's not afraid of contact. Like, he's had some pretty impressive finishes, be it at the rim or even that kind of lucky and 1 3-pointer that he made. Like, he's not afraid to shoot the ball. He's not a good shooter outside of 15 feet, but at least he's not afraid to shoot it. So,
right.
That's what you don't want to run into a Ben Simmons situation where if Black becomes afraid to shoot from outside of 18 feet or whatever. Like, you want him to at least take shots now in summer league and even in preseason where the games won't matter. And you just have something to build off. He's got some pretty nice dribble moves, man. Like, he's had some pretty great jump shots come off of dribble moves to set those up. Jett Howard, same thing, except he's doing it from 3-point range. Look, with Jett Howard, I have defensive concerns. I have athleticism concerns. Like, the only thing he's been able to contribute really is from outside. Like, whenever he's trying to get into the paint or towards the rim or something, like, he's been shut down pretty hard early. But again, it's summer league. You want to see him just give it a shot, and then you build off those mistakes because they're going to have a couple months before preseason comes. So,
yeah, totally.
Those are my thoughts. Again, I want these guys to succeed because I'm a Magic fan. Like, I want them to do great. Like, again, would I have picked Anthony Black and Jett Howard? No, but they're on the team. I'm going to root for them. I want them to be good. I want them to improve, and we'll see.
I'm on the record of saying, like, I liked Anthony Black. He wasn't my first option at pick 6. He was maybe my 3rd option in that area. But I can see how he's going to be helpful for this team, and I want him to do really well. Jett Howard, I didn't even scout, man. I didn't even have him on my radar just because, one, this is a draft I haven't been able to put as much time into. So I had to be very selective with who I would go and watch tape on and read articles on and stuff like that. And he just was not on that list. And so I'm everything I know about Jett Howard, I've learned since we drafted him. He seems fine. I like that we actually drafted a shooter. I was never a Grady Dick guy. So I'm fine that we drafted him over Grady Dick, but maybe there were some other guys I would have preferred to have taken a swing on, maybe Cam Whitmore since he was dropping so far. I know you were really high on Cam. Yeah. So, we'll see. I think they can both grow into nice roles for this team. They definitely have potential to get there. Jett will probably have to earn some minutes, and maybe he's not playing every game. Maybe even the same with Black. We have a lot of guards, and if health is at all relevant for this team this season, and we're not a fucking train wreck like we always are. Sorry to the dude on YouTube for dropping the F-bomb there. I am trying to be better, but that show is not for kids, and I understand your comment. I respect it. Sorry. Had a comment last from an awesome listener, and I understand his point, but I will hit explicit content on this because the show is not for kids.
Yeah, well,
I don't censor myself.
Yeah, anyone who listens to my pod knows that we'll curse in there, and we've been doing that a while. But
I've been doing it for a long time. Anyways, just wanted to say, these kids are cool, man. I'm excited to see them play. I'm excited to have them learn and grow into a role. I'm really more cool. They'll probably make their impact in 2 or 3 years if they're still on the roster at that point.
Well, and that's the tough part now because that's the other thing because Black looks pretty good, but how are you going to get him minutes? Because you got Fultz and Cole in front of him at point guard. He's not a good enough shooter to really play the other positions.
Yeah.
With Jett Howard, we have Joe Ingles now, and then Jett's fighting for minutes. I think Jett Howard's a small forward at the moment.
Sure.
But I have him, he's going to be fighting minutes with the likes of Caleb, Chuma, J.I. If he's healthy, potentially. So that's the other thing is how do you get these guys minutes? Is it you either earn them or you just got to find a way through practice to get to up your way through the rotation? Or we're just assuming that we're going to lead the league in injuries again. And just by by sheer bad luck of health again, that those guys will find time on the floor. That could be factoring into all this, because depth wise, we've got pretty great depth. I can't recall the last time we've had like 3 guys at each position where you could throw them in at worst be NBA rotation guys. Like, it's been a while where if you look at all 15 guys on the roster, and it's like we're pretty covered from just a respectability standpoint at each position.
I will say with a caveat at center, but we can debate that here in a moment if we want. But yeah, no, I mean, like with Black, like, if Fultz breaks his foot again and he's out for 2 months, like, and Cole has another abdomen thing, great. Black should be a great option to run the offense. He's kind of already like naturally built to do that, has a really high IQ when it comes to that. I think he's going to learn to run our system very fast and very easily. I think he's going to pick it up very well. Jett Howard, like, we used to complain about small forward like depth, and now we have a couple people there that can slide between, we have positional versatility to where we can be pretty deep and everyone. And for God's sakes, like, if we are healthy, and that includes JI, we do have some decent depth for people at the 5. I will say decent depth, not good depth. I'm just not a fan with how we address that center position. I guess we can like pause there for a second, because just a few hours ago, they finally released the signing of Mo Wagner. They finally did confirm that his second year is a team option, which we all were kind of assuming it was, but like, there wasn't a single reporter that even speculated it. It was all of us fans just saying, oh, it's going to be it because it's the front office, and that's like their tradition right now, which I'm thankful for. What do you think about bringing back Mo and Goga at the same time with Wendell Carter?
I was surprised we brought Goga back, which was probably the opposite. Like, I thought we'd keep Mo, and I thought, we'd let go of Goga, and I was probably one of the few people that thought that. I mean, with Goga, look, money wise, he's making $2 million, where you pick up that option, and look, if you're planning on having him as a third string center, money wise, that makes sense. To pay $2 million to a third string center that I think is about to turn 24 years old, so he's still pretty young. He showed some good stretches, man. Like, he came out of Indiana with like nothing going for him at all. Like, he got waived in February, then 4 days later we picked him up, and like it took him a minute, and it's still technically a honeymoon period for Goga Bitadze. So that's the thing, is when adversity hits, or when like minutes really become scarce, like, how's he going to handle that? Because he's got a bit of a Georgian temper to him, and he's got
kind of like that.
We didn't really see that. I mean, we saw he brought some some aggression on the floor when we needed it. When it comes to banging in the paint, getting rebounds, like Goga is almost a polar opposite to Mo in a lot of ways. Because Mo Wagner, I mean, look, averaging 10.5 points per game as a backup center isn't something to shy away from. Like, that's pretty great from Mo. But
and as you guys were saying on your last episode, their skill sets being so opposite allows us to kind of like, I'm stealing this directly from you, but it's also a thought I've had in my head. It allows us to go at different matchups almost by committee if we want to, right? If we need more offense, we can plug Mo in. If we need more defense, we can throw Goga in. I do think Goga has some potential to grow, because he's only 23 and he got drafted to a pretty shitty situation where he was like never going to see playing time.
Yeah.
So there's some opportunity for him to grow, and even Mo, there's some opportunity for him to grow too. But I just to state it, it's like I was fine with bringing one of them back, but I view them both as third string centers. I don't view either one of them as good second string centers yet. And with just Wendell Carter's injury history, like, I was just hoping to have someone a little bit more solid that I would trust more in a starter role if Wendell Carter misses 20-something games again, But it's fine. Their contracts are fine. It gives us a lot of flexibility in the future with that second option. I do think Mo's overpaid, but money's not hurting us right now, so it's not a problem. I don't really care, despite I don't think he's worth it. And I think like a Franz tax is the dumbest thing ever. Like, we drafted him. He We have a great culture going on. Like, I just don't think we need to be babying him with keeping his brother around if that is part of the equation to keeping him around. Like, if they just want to keep Mo around because he's a good player, great, that's fine. But, like, specifically because of Franz and to, like, oh, let's overpay him to make that happen. Like, I don't know, man. It's just like, just be good people, be a good, straightforward organization, and your players will want to stay if you have good culture and stuff. And we have all of that. So, like, yeah. Anyways, that's my rant. I'm sorry. I'll let you. I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a Franz tax with bringing back Mo.
No,
I mean, would I have preferred it to have been 5 to 7 mil instead of 8? Sure, but at the end of the day, it's technically 1-year contract. Same thing with Joe Ingles. We're under the salary cap, so it doesn't really factor in.
It doesn't.
Plus, we don't have gigantic contracts on our roster, so given 8 to Mo and 11 to Ingles, if a trade comes down the line, like, we don't have 20, 30, $40 million contracts to include in trades if you're trying to trade for disgruntled star.
Yeah.
Like, our biggest salaries on the team are J.I. and Fultz at $17 million. So, that's the other thing to factor in. I mean,
what's worse though? Hold on one second. Let me pause right there because you brought up trades and I was thinking about this, right? What's worse for the Franz tax or just that whole idea, right? Underpaying Mo or not bringing him back, or overpaying him and then trading him like a little bit later. Like, what's going to piss off Franz more?
I don't think, even if like Mo went off somewhere else, like, I think Franz will be fine. Like, they've been together a couple of years now.
They understand.
Like, they'll be fine.
Yeah. He's a big kid.
After a while, I'm sure you get tired of sharing like a loft or an apartment with your brother, probably anyway. So, I think they bought a house together now. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but
I'm sure that's great for their relationships.
I do think with Mo, I did hear that the Pelicans were interested in him. I don't know how much they were going to offer Mo Wagner, but there were definitely offers there. Now, did we have to give him $8 million to keep him? I don't know. It is interesting that Mo is making more money than his brother now. So I don't know if they're compensating there a little bit on the sneaky side, but look, I'm on record multiple times. Like, I wanted the Magic to go after Brook Lopez. I thought, once I heard rumors of Houston trying to get Brook Lopez, I mean, there's no reason why the Magic shouldn't have been a rumor team at that point. I'm glad he stayed in Milwaukee in that regard. I mean, Milwaukee was in huge trouble if they didn't bring Brook Lopez back. They had no way of replacing him. So, in that sense, like, Milwaukee had to keep it all together, or they're going to be in trouble this upcoming season. And that's the other thing, is this front office is basically punted for another year on free agency, which, from a patient's perspective, that sucks. Like, we want to be in the playoffs. We want to be good. We want to be trying to go to championships. But at the same time, like, our two best players are 21 and 20 years old. And you hate having to say that it's going to be an evaluation year, but that's kind of where we're at right now, where who knows if Fultz is going to get offered an extension at October 1st. Doesn't look like Cole Anthony's going to get offered an extension. I think they're going to just let it play out, which that's what I would prefer. But, there's going to be some friction here with all this extra competition. Like, I don't care how good our culture is, how happy and hunky-dory everybody is with each other. Like, it's going to be it's going to be tough to keep everybody happy. And so,
and I think that's
what happens when you compete. It does.
Yeah. Everyone, people go back to that comment that Cole made at the beginning of last season about him wanting to be a starter. It's like, no shit. He should want to be a starter. He's 22, 23, every kid at that age in the NBA should want to be a starter. Everyone on this roster should want to be a starter, and that should have some, like, you should want that while also being able to accept your role. But it's like, it's going to cause some friction. People are going to want bigger roles at some point, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. Consolidation trade will happen at some point. Maybe any potential friction will cause players to level up in their own way. And that's great. That's great in my opinion. And I welcome the day we make a consolidation trade or go all in on a free agent or something like that. That'll be fun. But we both heard Jeff Weltman on this morning's XM radio drop where he talked about, this being another evaluation year to really see what they have. And, we've kind of heard that multiple times. And, we didn't really need him to say that. We all kind of understood that's what they were doing when they brought back this roster in the same way. And that's okay, man. Like, I think I'd rather them, like, as frustrating as it is and impatient as I get, like, I think I'd rather them take it slow and do calculated moves than, like, go do something stupid like if Fred VanVleet $40 million a year,
Well, and I think they're waiting out some of the top teams right now to either age out or break up. Like, you look at Boston, like, Jaylen Brown hasn't signed that extension yet.
Yeah.
It's going to probably happen, but I mean, look everywhere around the league. It doesn't matter if the extension gets signed. Like, he could demand a trade in a year. And that's where if the Magic want a Jaylen Brown, they can do that. Like, I've had Desmond Bane on my radar. Like, he signed an extension with the Grizzlies. Who knows what's going to happen this season, because Ja Morant's going to miss a chunk of it. And who knows what it'll be by the end of this upcoming season. Like, Bane might want out. There's
totally,
just because guys are signing extensions now for max money doesn't mean that they don't want out. Like, I heard on, Bill Simmons podcast where he mentioned that the NBA is basically a transfer portal now. Like, free agency is almost being bypassed. Like, this free agency class that we had this summer wasn't that great. Next summer's free agency class isn't going to be that great because guys are signing extensions. And if they don't want to be with their teams, even if they're a year or two into those extensions, like, they're being traded now. Like,
extensions are the more popular than hitting free agency because it's just like securing the bag. Now, there's definitely
it's the most, you get more money too by doing the extension than hitting free agency now. So, like, why would you pass up all this, tens of millions of dollars when you can still claim those tens of millions of dollars and still get traded and go to a different team if you want to?
For certain NBA players, it definitely makes sense to do that. There's still a handful that are not doing that, and we'll see that every off season. There's always going to be an opportunity in free agency to get better and sign high tier guys, but it's not like a handful of years ago where it was like, fuck, dude, there's this, that, like, the list goes on. Now we'll see what happens. I feel like the year that the new TV deal signs, there could be a lot of people not wanting to take extension, so they could hit that next threshold, maybe. I'm not sure.
It's funny because the cap is what, like $136 million? Like, the cap in 4 or 5 years is going to be like 180 because it's going to be
insane.
It's going up the max 10% every year because they're already anticipating this new TV deal money that's already coming in. So I don't know if it's going to go any higher than that once the actual TV deal occurs and all that. But I mean, that's why, like, even though some of these contracts that are being signed look ridiculous, like, give it 2-3 years. And if you look at percentage of money against, weight against the cap, like, it's not going to be as bad as it looks now for some of those deals. But with the Magic, like I said, like, this front office, like, they punted for people that, again, aren't very patient or in a huge hurry just to, make a playoff run or whatever. Like, it's a waiting game of windows where, like, Milwaukee, they're going to get another year older. Like, Giannis Antetokounmpo might bail in a year or two. We don't know. Miami, even if they do this Lillard trade with Portland, Miami is aging out. Like, Jimmy Butler's got all those miles on him, and the wheels are going to fall off eventually. Like, Pat Riley can't live forever. I think he's 78 years old. Like, he's going to step down eventually too. Like, he can't keep doing this, like, deep into his 80s. Like,
there's no rush for the Magic to try and go make a deep playoff run next season because, like, they do it right, do it calculated, do it smart. I want to ask you one thing about the Magic. Can you tell me who the last person that played on this team was that was on a max contract?
Was it Dwight Howard?
Unless Serge Ibaka was on one, and I didn't think to check him, but we didn't sign him to that contract. So the last person that we signed to a max contract was Dwight Howard. His last season was 2012 when with us. Can you guess how much he was making that year?
I'm going to guess 22, but I feel like I'm going to guess 22.
It was $18 million. So, and he was like, that was like on his second or third contract or something like that.
Second, it was the end of the second, yeah.
So Franz potentially will sign a max contract, and it's going to be like more than double what Dwight was making.
It's anything like Jaylen Brown's contract, or Jason Tatum's contract that's coming, Well,
it'll be like
it's going to be like 50, 60 million if it gets really a max.
Well, it'll be like, since it'll be the rookie contract, to be closer to what LaMelo and
you're right,
which was 260, which comes out to like 30 something a year, 35 a year.
Yeah, probably it'll be like 40 or whatever. When it
in a
gets
couple
up
of years
there.
it'll go up, but it'll still probably only be like 25% of our cap as a team. So, dude, all right, let's transition because we're getting to the end of the podcast, and I wanted to talk about this more so than half the stuff we talked about, which I enjoyed that conversation, but this is exciting. I'm personally really excited about this. There's some downers, but overall, I think it's pretty cool. The NBA in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, as the trophy's called, which I think sounds way more fun than calling it the in-season tournament or the tournament. So
they just haven't gotten a sponsor for it yet.
Not yet. It's coming though. So feel free to correct me. I'm going to try and explain it, and then I'll let you explain it better and give thoughts.
Go for it, man.
So you got the East and the West. You have three different pods in each
3 groups each conference. So 6 groups teams. Total. Yeah.
Yep. The A, B, and C. The Magic are in C, with who is it? Miami.
No. It's Brooklyn, Boston, Toronto, and Chicago. Yeah. So good. I mean, they're all tough groups in my opinion. There's good teams in all of them, and you play each team twice in your group. Well, no, you play each team once. Actually. So it's 2 home games and 2 away games.
Okay.
And I know somebody else had tweeted out already the Magic are going to play, I think, the Celtics Boston, and the Raptors at home. And the other 2 are going to be away.
Praying to God I'm coming to Florida for my dad's 70th birthday the second half of November. So I'm hoping that one of those games is around then. So particularly the Boston game, so I can just make sure I'm there for it. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think around Thanksgiving, and it depends because this is a complicated thing, right? So the whole NBA schedule is going to come out in August.
Yep.
Instead of 82 games, it's going to be an 80-game schedule where 80 games are going to be locked in, whatever that for the regular season, and then you have 2 open spots because of this in-season tournament. So for all of these games, they're all going to count as regular season games except for the championship game. If you make the championship game, you'll have played 83 games for the season. And championship game stats, all that don't count towards the regular season. So, you're playing 4 games in your group. If you go 4-0, you're definitely going to make it into the quarterfinal knockout stage. If you go 3-1, you're probably going to make it into the quarterfinal knockout stage. But if you don't make it into the quarterfinals, or if you don't make it into the semifinals, then you're going to be playing games December 6th and 8th, where those kind of flex tube games that won't be in that 80-game schedule or 82-game schedule. That you're playing your 2 games either December 7th because you're in the semifinals of the in-season tournament, or December 9th in the title game. Or if you're not in any of those and you're out of the cup competition, and you're playing December 6th and December 8th. And that's how those 2 games to complete your 82-game season really are going to be divvied in. It's going to lead to some wild travel stuff, I'm sure. But
sure.
That's why I don't want to speculate on how well the Magic might do in it, because I don't know what the travel situation is. What's the back-to-back situation? We know that all of these cup games, at least before we get into the quarterfinals, are going to be in November. You play on Tuesdays and Fridays in November, minus November 7th, which is election day. So they probably picked Tuesday and Fridays because they didn't want to pick Thursday because Thanksgiving is on a Thursday. But I took over way too much on that.
No, you're good, man. It's cool. It's cool. I think this is a new concept. So just the more information and the more conversation around it, I think is better for education of the fans and just the hype around it in general. So it's there's definitely some complications to it. There's going to be some adjustments to team strategy with travel. I know they are doing their best to like schedule every game on the front half of a back-to-back, but they are said it can't be guaranteed, but they're going to do their best so people can avoid like trying to load manage on during these games.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you now, Silver is going to find the hell out of teams.
Oh, yeah.
If they load manage these cup games. Like,
Totally.
You won't care about some the other games in November, but if you load manage cup games, Silver's coming for you because he's been wanting this for like 15 years.
I think there's going to be some – I think there's going to take a little bit of time, but I think players are going to have some buy-in for it. You know, like a handful of people get load managed in the NBA. Granted, those handful of people are the most important people to the league because it's all the fucking superstars.
Yeah.
But, you know, and they're the ones that sell the tickets. So, like, I understand why it's a big deal. But, like, for 95% of the players, they get up for most of the games, you know, and they play for most of the games. And so, like, there will be game participation. There's going to be, like, people aren't going to – it's not going to be like – the all-star game where people are slacking and not like putting any effort in. Like,
and they count against your regular season record too. Like you have to take them seriously unless you're just an elite team and you don't mind losing a couple games early on in the season. Like most of the teams, like they count these games also count as regular season games. They're going to try.
I thought there was too much chatter online about people like, oh, why do the players care? Like, well, because it counts towards the record and they're competitive. These are like the elite of the elite athletes. Like there's some of the most competitive athletes on the planet. They're going to want to play and they're going to play hard. So I don't know, man, I'm pretty excited about it. Like I'm probably not going to fly to Vegas for the finals unless the Magic somehow randomly got into it.
How long of a flight is that for you?
It's an hour in their flight.
You got to take that flight, man. If they get to the, if they get
go,
there,
I mean, it's easier for me to go to that than it would be for me to get to Orlando, realistically.
You go from a 1 hour flight to 6 hours to get out to Orlando.
I mean, if the Magic get to the Cup in Las Vegas, I think I'm going on vacation in early December, you know, for maybe just a 24-hour fly in, catch the game, stay the night, fly back, you know. I potentially could do it there and back in the same day, but that'd be awful. And I would want to stay in Vegas and enjoy the night. You want to join me in Vegas, Adam?
Yeah, man. If I can do it, I like Vegas, man. Vegas fun. I'm a pretty good blackjack player as well, so
I enjoy it. We could have some fun on the tables. I
have done like a full 24-hour binge of where I am out, and I've been at a blackjack table before for 8 hours, and the time just goes by quick. And
it's fun.
I got out of there making money somehow, but Vegas is dangerous if you're there too long. But if you time it right, if you're there for I think the max is 3 nights. 3 nights is the max.
Yes, I feel the same way. It's a great time. I've been there for a week before, and it was awful.
Oh wow.
It was awful. Not by choice. I was there for a work thing for 3 days, which I totally enjoyed myself during that time too. But then my dad was out there with me, and then my mom and sister flew out, and they want to do Vegas for a couple more days. And so we were there for a week before, maybe 5 or 6 days before we hit. And it was pretty miserable. But the 3-day trip, perfect window.
Yeah.
Perfect window.
Yeah.
So are you excited about this Cup, man?
I am. I have my complaints with it. If I would have done this, me being, the European soccer basketball fan that I am, I would prefer if this was its own separate entity and that they decrease the regular season from 82 games to 66 games to help with injuries and load management and all that. But the league's not going to do that. So, there's too much money at stake. They're looking, this is a cash grab, but it's also a ratings attempt grab to try and, get eyes away from football, both college and NFL, because that's the biggest issue for the NBA is because, the biggest complaint casuals or a lot of people have with an NBA season is that, the regular season doesn't start till Christmas, basically. And I don't view that at all. Sometimes, honestly, the most exciting time of the year for especially for the past decade for Magic, for the Magic is those first month or two of the season, honestly. So, but I'm going to be invested in it, but would I've wished if this was its own separate entity, this cup, sure, but I'm going to enjoy it, especially if the Magic make it to the quarterfinals. Like if they win their group, or if they get out of their group in that one like wild card spot that you can get, whatever. Like you need to go 3-1 to make it into the knockout stage.
Yeah.
So if we do that, then we're probably on pace to have a pretty good season. I think last year against, what was it, Brooklyn, Toronto, Chicago, Boston, we went 8-6 against them.
We did very
I don't see
well.
why we can't go 3-1 against them in this format. But I'm excited. It's going to be interesting to see like how really into it like some of the big players are, because right now money is the only thing at stake. Like if you make it to the championship game, each player earns $200,000, and if you win the championship, each player wins $500,000. So, for a guy like, if you look at the Magic roster, for a guy like Kevon Harris, like that's more than double his salary basically.
Totally.
Or even like Goga Batadze, who's making $2 million. Like $500,000 is pretty nice if you get that done.
Totally.
Now, if you get to guys who are making like 40, 50 million, that basically is just competition that's motivating you at that point. But
sure.
That's why it will be interesting to see like if it's not getting the ratings bump or like the league interest that Silver was hoping for, if they maybe up the stakes, like putting in like a playoff spot up for grabs for the winner, like a guaranteed playoff spot.
They started off small, and there's ways that they can increase it to make it more enticing for sure. Like they can do the playoff spot. They can bring fans in a little bit more by like offering the 31st pick in the draft and having the draft be like, 61 picks total, right? By adding that extra draft spot or something like that. Or just like, regardless of record, you get the 31st. And I think that's a way to make fans a little bit more engaged in it, because then there's like a little bit more of a reason for them to root for it.
Yeah, the players won't care for it, because
the players won't.
That's somebody that could take your job potentially.
Yeah.
I get that, yeah.
But there's definitely ways they can increase it. I'm excited about it enough to like, I'm potentially planning a vacation to Florida to visit my dad, and I will plan my flights around a cup game if I can, so I can watch a game personally. Like that'd be great. I wouldn't do that for most regular season games. I would just find the best days to fly in and out, and I'd find a game to go to because I just don't care, and I'd just be at Amway for anything. So a little bit different now, which will be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's worst comes to worst, in 4 or 5 seasons, it's no longer a thing. We tried.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to stick around come hell or high water. Like it is going to stick around. It may be tweaked. It may be drastically tweaked, or it, like I said, like the people that ragged on the play-in, nobody hates the play-in now.
For the most part, everyone likes it.
For the most part. So, I mean, it's completely different situation, completely different stuff at stake. But like, I mean, the other thing too is like maybe we should offer like a trophy for the best regular season win-loss record, like they do in other leagues, like MLS. Like, MLS offers the Shield, whatever, and then you do the playoffs for MLS Cup or whatever. But
this is probably a conversation for a different subject and or a different podcast. But like I have a huge problem with most of all the awards we give out. So it's like, I think that whole system needs to be restructured, and including a regular season trophy would be one of them as well. So we'll get into that another time.
There is also for this NBA Cup, there is going to be an MVP. There's going to be an all tournament team. So that's cool. So that's fine. That's expected. But
that's fun. I thought the trophy looked cool too.
It's a nice trophy. The lighting was weird on it. And even on the website, like it's just dark. Like I haven't seen like a well lit photo of the trophy, but it looked nice from what I saw.
I would be one of those fans that if the Magic somehow won the tournament this year, I would buy the gear. I would buy the Magic T-shirt tournament winnings. Like
this doesn't have the prestige of, say, like if you go to England, an FA Cup, or even like the US, Orlando City won the US Open Cup. Like I was so thrilled, and I think I was kind of crying when Orlando City Soccer won the US Open Cup, and that is an over 100-year-old competition.
Sure.
Like we're here at the beginning where people that are going to make fun of it, are going to make fun of it because there's no prestige to it, or like they're the same ones that don't care about the NBA early on in the season anyway. But like, this is history. Like, there's 100 years from now, like, people are going to say, like, who won the first NBA Cup? And
dude, for real,
if the Magic win that first one, like, that's pretty cool. So
it's definitely going to be a thing that will grow, and in 20 years from now, it will be a staple of the NBA most likely, and we won't even. It'll be weird to think back when there wasn't one.
Yeah.
So, and it'll eventually get its prestige and stuff like that with it. It's just not there yet because it's brand new, and
I'm
us
sure
Americans don't watch European soccer, and we don't know what these cups are all about. I only drink beer out of my cup.
I'm sure Adam Silver is secretly hoping that like somebody like LeBron or Steph Curry wins it, and they like celebrate it and like enjoy it or whatever, and that'll bump up like prestige and just importance immediately. But who knows? We'll see.
We'll see. Well, Adam, I appreciate you jumping on the show. I feel like this is a good place to wrap it up. We've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot to talk about. It's the summer is about to get boring for Magic specific. It will.
FIBA ball's coming, man.
That's where Magic specific is going to get boring. FIBA is the next exciting thing, but we will probably not have much like Magic team specific. Magic players, yes. Team, not so much. But I appreciate you jumping on the show. You just had a podcast that came out this morning, or maybe it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
So why don't you let everyone know where they can hear that podcast, where they can find you online, and anything else you'd like to plug?
Yes, you can hear the Penny and Pops podcast on basically anywhere you listen and subscribe to podcasts anywhere. So you can find me on Twitter at Papageorgiou MBO. If Twitter would ever add an extra character to what your profile name could be, I would probably change it to Adam Papageorgiou, but it's just at Papageorgiou MBO, and I'm just going to keep it for now. I'm not abandoning ship to Threads at the moment. I'm sticking with Twitter until the ship just burns a fiery death. But leave it at that.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you jumping on the show, Magic fans. Thanks for tuning in. There will be no show next week. I'm going to be in Hawaii, not thinking about you whatsoever. But I will catch you with another show the week after that. So I appreciate you all. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go Magic. Thank you, Adam. Peace.